He's Chase. I'm Harrison Graham. As we get going on day one of NBA free agency, the Philadelphia 76ers have been active early, Chase, with a trio of signings. Let's focus on the big one first, and then we'll talk about the other ones. The one that's been rumored for a while, Chase, PJ Tucker, that one's become official.
Yeah, this has become the worst-kept secret across NBA circles outside of Jalen Brunson over the last couple of days as Daryl Morey brings back a player who he grew to know and become very fond of when he was the general manager for the Houston Rockets. And it's not the only Rocket that Daryl Morey is bringing in. Trevelin Queen also signing a deal with Philadelphia. But PJ Tucker is a big deal here because he adds much-needed toughness to a team that has lacked that over the last couple of years. They have failed to establish and find a toughness identity in the NBA playoffs. That's a big reason why they haven't been able to advance past the second round ever since 2001 when Allen Iverson won NBA MVP. They went to the NBA Finals before going down in 5 games to the Los Angeles Lakers. So PJ Tucker adds that. He adds championship pedigree. 2 years ago, he was on that Milwaukee Bucks squad and was a very important figure in what they were able to do after he was a trade acquisition for Milwaukee. And then last year with the Miami Heat, played a pivotal role defensively and offensively en route to an Eastern Conference Finals appearance. What I like about PJ Tucker, he can knock down a corner three. He's a solid three-point shooter. He gives you defensive versatility on switches, but also he has absolutely no fear guarding the best wing players on the opposition, whether it be a Kevin Durant 2 years ago in the playoffs when he was playing for Milwaukee, or Jason Tatum throughout the Eastern Conference Finals. PJ Tucker never backs down from a challenge, and I think culturally this is what the Philadelphia 76ers really need. He also has familiarity playing alongside James Harden, who decided to opt out and will most likely take less money so that PJ Tucker can take that deal, which pays him around $10 million on an average annual value basis. So PJ Tucker, you look at his numbers from a year ago, 7.5 points per game, 5.5 rebounds. He's, of course, somewhat undersized because he plays a little bit of 4 at 6'5", but he makes up for it with toughness, overall basketball IQ, and I just love the grit that he brings to a team that needs it and a city that certainly relishes that type of personality. He's a bulldog.
Let me add this about PJ Tucker, too, and I know you're the host of 76ers Now, so if Sixers fans get offended by what I'm about to say, then hell, Chase is your boy anyway. I'm not the one usually talking to you guys.
We love you still.
I think it's fair to say that the 76ers have been a team with distractions, immaturity, shenanigans at times. PJ Tucker's not going to stand for any of that BS. He is no-nonsense type of player. Chase just outlined you need this type of guy. Yeah, is 3 years and $33 million for a guy who's going to be 36, 37 a lot? Yeah, it's a lot of money. But you know what? They're going all in. You need guys that can help you right now. And every year, PJ Tucker finds himself playing deep in the playoffs. It is not a fluke. It is not a coincidence. He is a guy that helps you take that next step. And he's a guy that's going to come into that culture. And if you see something he doesn't like, Chase, he's not going to be afraid to say it. He's going to come to you and be like, dude, this BS, we're not doing it. Like, I'm not going to have it here. So Morey's obviously very familiar with him. You get him back with James Harden. Maybe that re-energizes Harden a little bit, gets a guy he's familiar with. I like the move. It's an overpay. All deals are overpay. Welcome to the NBA. That's how this works. So, Chase, I think this is a solid move.
Nothing you said there was a lie, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
about the immaturity, the distractions, and the softness on that roster.
Underachievement.
You didn't lie.
I mean, he's not going to stand for any of that crap. So, grade the move, A, B, C, D, or F. Chase?
I'm going to give it a B. He's 37 years old. I have some concerns there. This is a move that will allow you to try and win over the next year or two. Back end of the deal could be disastrous, but when guys like Tyus Jones as a backup point guard are getting $15 million per year, that's the reality of the situation. From PJ Tucker to another former Houston Rocket, yes, Trevelin Queen, but also Danuel House Jr. It's been rumored for a long time, and when you watched the Sixers last year, you knew that they needed wing defenders and overall wing talent. They're able to bring a guy in Danuel House who has some upside. So last year with the Utah Jazz and the New York Knicks, where he didn't really play at all, only one game, it was primarily with Houston and Utah. We want to focus in on Utah because that's where he put up the best numbers. 7 points per game, around 3 rebounds. He can shoot the 3 just a little bit, but this is a wing defender who can add just another defensive presence. But going back to Houston, 2019-20, when James Harden was there, 10.5 points per game. And this is a nice depth addition. You're not paying him all that much money. Daryl Morey and James Harden both have familiarity with him. Obviously, this goes in line with James Harden signing a contract with Philadelphia, hopefully on a short-term basis. But you need wing defenders. You need guys who are tough, and that's been the focus so far in free agency with what Philadelphia has tried to do, and that's what they've been able to accomplish so far. So Danuel House and PJ Tucker, they're going to be able to add to the defensive acumen and just overall defensive toughness for Philadelphia, an area in which they certainly need to improve upon, as well as some depth pieces as well. Now make sure you subscribe to our 76ers Now channel. We launched it about a year ago, and we're like 20, 30 people away from 7,000 subscribers. So if you want to stay in the know with all things Sixers all year round, and if you want fast videos like the Sixers just made all 3 of these deals, we're pushing out a video right after they happen. YouTube.com/76erstv, or just hit that red subscribe button. From Danuel House to Trevelin Queen, this is a player who a lot of people don't know about, right?
Yeah.
He's 24 years old. Last year was his first NBA season. His college route, pretty fascinating. Went to the College of Marin, New Mexico Military Institute, then New Mexico State. He makes his NBA debut on the 21st of December, and last year for Houston, 4 points per game. He might not even make this roster. It's a 2-year, $3.3 million deal. If he doesn't make the roster, it's really not that big of a deal, Harrison.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a training camp body. It's a guy that's going to compete for a roster spot. And look, you need guys to fill out the roster. I mean, if Harden's going to re-sign for a big deal, I mean, obviously Joel Embiid's on the max as well. So you need guys toward the end of that bench. We'll see if he can continue to develop. But a guy on a 2-year deal that, we'll see what he brings to the table. Again, I think Tucker's the focus here. We've heard for well over a week that they were going to bring him on board, and now that's official. Danuel House, another guy Daryl Morey is familiar with. Look, This is the Houston Rockets 2.0 in a sense. That's really what we're dealing with here. Obviously, you have Joel Embiid. That's a big difference. But we'll see if some of that magic can be recreated. These were key pieces on a team that probably would have been in the NBA Finals a few years ago, Chase, had Chris Paul not gotten injured.
Yeah, for sure. I think they actually would have won the NBA championship if it weren't for Chris Paul getting injured, and then the Warriors went on to win against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Before we get out of here on 76ers Now for this particular segment, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Kevin Durant. It's the biggest storyline in the NBA right now, according to reports out there, and obviously nowadays, a lot of aggregators and a lot of loose reporting. This is what's funny, is that Kevin Durant has made a trade request with the Brooklyn Nets. Basically, every team across the NBA is going to be interested. And according to reports out there, the 76ers interested as well, and Joel Embiid wants to play with Kevin Durant.
So do I, by the way.
Yeah, so do I. And so do I when I play pickup basketball, because this guy is just a supremely special talent and still one of the best players in the NBA, maybe number 2 behind Giannis. For the Sixers to even entertain, even making or attempting a Kevin Durant trade, it would have to include Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, Matisse Thybulle, and future draft capital. Now, the future draft capital was already given up to Brooklyn, by the way, to bring in James Harden. So this is completely unrealistic. Joel Embiid had tweeted LOL after the Durant trade request was made official. It's not going to happen. It's fun to talk about. And talking about a Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid 1-2 punch, it would be absolutely fascinating. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, well, we're going to be following it on all of our channels here at Chat Sports, including 76ers Now. But the news early on in free agency for Philly, PJ Tucker, 3 years, $33 million and some change. Danuel House, 2-year deal, $8.5 million as well. And then Trevelin Queen, a 2-year, $3.3 million move. Is there anything else that could be in the works as we progress here? I know backup center's a spot.
Yeah, backup center is a spot. Maybe it's
an
an Andre Drummond type. Obviously, we're reacting to all of this live. It could be an Andre Drummond. I just want to see a better backup center, a guy who's better than DeAndre Jordan. I mean, having to watch him in crucial playoff minutes last year, starting games
can't happen
for a playoff team that had championship aspirations, that's a crime. Does the signing of Danuel House then eliminate the possibility of bringing in Otto Porter Jr.?
Possibly.
Maybe, but Otto Porter Jr. would be a nice little addition as well.
So grade the moves so far. 0 to 100. 100 means you really like them. 0 means you're not a fan at all. Get those grades in and subscribe to Sixers Now, youtube.com/76ers TV.